I've audited more than 50 Klaviyo accounts and helped generate over $23 million in attributed revenue in e-commerce brands in the last 12 months. And in this video, I'm breaking down the 10 biggest reasons your emails aren't converting and how to fix every single one. Because if you're like most 7, 8, or even 9-figure D2C brands, your meta acquisition is probably fun. You're running hundreds of meta ads, testing new landing pages and creatives, launching new products, and spending serious money just to bring customers in. But then they join one generic welcome flow, get the same abandoned cart reminder they've ignored dozens of times, and get 1 or 2 campaigns every single month. And most brands think the solution is more segmentation, prettier designs, or some other complicated strategy. But after auditing more than 50 accounts, what I've learned is that the brands with the most complicated setups often had the worst results because the fundamentals were just broken. We already built a lifecycle system for one of our 8-figure home decor clients, and that helped them triple their repurchase rate and double monthly revenue in under 1 year. So in this video, I'll break down the main reasons why your emails aren't converting and exactly how to fix every single one. So let's get into it. Reason number 1 your emails are underperforming actually has nothing to do with email marketing, and it's more about your overall brand's marketing, specifically your offer. Most brands that I audit have a very weak and generic offer, usually 10% off, or maybe it's a dollar amount off. Some offer that was set up years ago and just nobody ever tested it since. This is the highest level for your entire brand. It has nothing to do with email, but it does affect email. It also affects acquisition, affects the performance of landing pages. It affects everything. So improving your offer should be your number 1 priority. So a couple of things that I always test out are bundles, free gifts, tiered discounts, some sort of gift with purchase, a welcome bundle. Those are just a couple ideas and a couple of things that you should test out for your brand. But a strong offer that converts cold traffic is exactly the difference between brands that stall at 7 or 8 figures and the ones that scale past 8 figures, even up to 9 figures. And when you're testing your offer, be sure to not judge it exclusively by CAC. So yes, CAC is a strong measure of how well your offer performs, but you should also look at the AOV you're getting, your revenue per visitor, revenue per session. Look at subscription performance if you're running a consumable brand, and also make sure to check out your LTV. Something that I see very often is a brand runs a new offer that has a very strong CAC, so it gets customers into the door, but for whatever reason you've acquired the wrong type of customers, whether those customers only want the freebie you're offering or something else. Maybe the discount for the first purchase was too attractive not to pass up, so all you've gotten is discount seekers that never stay for the product. So then you have very bad LTV. If your goal is just to be first order profitable and the offer accomplishes that, maybe this isn't the biggest priority. But if you're like most brands and you see CAC is rising and you want to play the LTV game, make sure to not judge an offer until day 60 or ideally even day 90. Make sure the LTV is strong as well. The second reason why your emails might be underperforming is that there is no real angle. So most emails have some very generic angles, something like premium ingredients, but there's nothing specific about your brand. Every single brand and every single product has some sort of unique selling points. Whether you're using an ingredient that nobody else is using, you have a unique manufacturing process, maybe you have a feature that very few competitors offer, or somehow you're able to deliver the same quality as competitors at a lower price because you have some sort of more efficient process. So you have to communicate that in every single email and have a very strong angle on every single campaign. You cannot be sending out generic campaigns that any brand could send out. So one thing that you should always be asking yourself before sending out an email is that, would this email make sense if it were sent by one of your biggest competitors? And if it does, then the email just isn't specific enough and it's not talking about why your product in particular is so strong. So just to give you a couple examples, instead of saying something like support your daily energy, talk about that 3 p.m. crash is not normal, or ditch that afternoon crash, or coffee alone can't fix this. So something that taps into some core pain or core desire that your audience has, that your product actively supports, not just some generic angle that Claude gave you that any brand could run. The third reason why your emails might be underperforming is that they're just very hard to read. They're not very skimmable, the text is too small, or they're just big blocks of text that make them very hard to understand what's going on. What you need to understand is that people's attention spans nowadays are very fried. Everybody knows this. So your emails need to be very digestible, very easy to read. So ditch the big blocks of text. Start using infographics, start explaining your product visually as much as possible, start using diagrams. And another thing that you should do, especially if you're selling to an older audience, but I've seen this work even with, younger or middle-aged audience, is have larger text. So just improving the size of your text and just making the email very easy to read can massively improve your performance. Another thing that you should test out is put your copy into Hemingway or some other app like that and see what reading level it reports that. So make sure that you do not exceed 3rd grade. You might be able to go up to 4th or 5th grade, but definitely not past that. And the reason why that's so important is because The average American reads at a 5th or 6th grade reading level, so you have to make your email super easy for anybody to understand. They should be able to quickly skim through the email and understand exactly what's going on. Your email should also be very clear. There should be one core message per email. Don't try to include 4 or 5 different ingredients or 4 or 5 different selling points. Just have one clear message in the email, and make sure the email is engaging. Use important facts or stories that your audience would relate to. In general, if you want to make your emails easy to read, make sure that you format it accordingly. So using big text and avoiding long copy and super long paragraphs. You want to make sure that it's clear and there's one core benefit or one core angle behind every single email. And you want to make sure that the email is actually engaging the audience with a strong story or some sort of very strong opinion. The fourth reason why your emails might be underperforming is that you have a weak CTA. So there's two core issues with CTAs. One is that you just have weak CTA copy. So something like shop now or learn more that any brand could use. Instead, what you want to use is a strong CTA that speaks about your product in particular. So something like swapping out your learn more for shop the starter kit if you're running some sort of welcome gift. Or instead of explore, find your shade if you're running a skincare or beauty brand. Something specific to your brand. Another thing you could do is make it problem oriented. So instead of shop now, if you're selling an energy out, you could say avoid the afternoon crash. So some sort of strong CTA that really speaks to your buyer can really help conversions. Another thing that you have to do is make sure that there are a lot of CTAs in an email, including one CTA above the fold so the customer can see the CTA without scrolling the email. So if you grab their attention with the hero section, they should have a CTA right there. And number two, make sure that there is a CTA for every single product. If your email is featuring a couple different products, make sure that there are individual product CTAs. This is going to massively improve the click rates because people will not click unless you tell them to click. So make sure to have CTAs for every single product. The fifth reason why your emails might be underperforming is that every single person on your list is getting the exact same email. The problem is that you're not selling to one person. You're selling to different people that are in different stages of the buyer's journey. Some of whom might have purchased just once or twice. Some of whom might be loyal VIPs that buy every single month. Some people might have subscribed a year ago but haven't bought since. So there's all these different lifecycle stages, and you have to optimize for every single one within both your flows and your campaign. So just to give you a couple examples of lifecycle groups to segment by: prospects, so people who have never bought; customers, so people who might have bought once or twice; VIPs, so these are your top 10 or 20% of your customers; active subscribers, so people who are currently on an active subscription; and number 5 is lapsed customers, so people who bought from you once or twice a long time ago, maybe over a year ago. They're still engaged, but they haven't bought since. Every single one of these customers needs unique messaging, so you need to segment your flows and campaigns accordingly. Now, don't go overboard with this. Don't have 20 different micro segments. I typically recommend sending 4 to 5 campaigns a week to your core 30 or 60-day engaged segments. But on top of that, layer on some more specific segments. Layer on an email for your VIPs, or layer on an offer specifically for your lapsed customers who bought a long time ago. But since then, the brand has changed, so give them an offer for a new welcome bundle, for example. But just make sure that you're not speaking to every single one of these customers the exact same way, because there are different customers in different stages of the journey. By the way, if you run a D2C brand and you want my team to audit, we build and manage this entire retention system for you, click the first link in the description to book a call to see if we're a fit. Now let's keep going. The sixth reason why your emails are underperforming is that your welcome flow is just too basic. So most brands run a very basic 2 or 3 or 4 email welcome flow that they set up years ago, and it hasn't been touched since. Even though you've launched new products, maybe you have a new hero SKU or a new offer you're running, you're still running the same generic welcome flow with the same generic 10% off. The solution to this is to build a longer and more comprehensive welcome flow. Typically, I recommend brands starting off with 5 to 7 emails and over time expanding up to 8, 9, or even 10 emails. And every single one of these emails should have a purpose. So the first email in the flow should deliver the offer, and you should deliver the site-wide offer if you're running one. If you're not running a site-wide offer and you want to add 10% off in the pop-up, that's fine. But if you're like most brands nowadays and you are running a site-wide offer, whether that's a free gift or a bundle or something else, just put that offer in your pop-up and deliver that in the welcome flow. There's no need to add an extra offer on top. The second email in the flow should talk about the brand story or the founder story. Tell people why you started the brand. There's so many faceless brands out there, and any 17-year-old nowadays can just open a Shopify account and start selling online. So you need to differentiate yourself with your brand story. A strong story can really connect with the customer and give people a reason to buy from you specifically. After that, there's a couple topics that you can include and a couple topics to test out. So a great topic for your third email could be best sellers or your hero SKU. So if you have one hero SKU, you can make an email fully dedicated to that one SKU. If not, just feature 3 or 4 bestsellers. After that, you could test out emails on topics such as FAQs, myths versus facts, some key ingredients that are in your products. Maybe if you have 1 or 2 USPs that your competitors just don't have, you could talk about that. Another thing that you have to do in the welcome emails is handle the objections that your customers have. So while they might be interested in your product, they still have some sort of objection. Maybe they're worried about price. Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe there's something else that while they're interested, there's something that's stopping them from ultimately buying. And it's up to you to figure that out and test different objections and handle them in this flow. A couple non-negotiables in this flow is that the number one job of the first welcome email is to deliver the offer. If you do one thing in that email, deliver the offer and have it be above the fold so customers can see without scrolling down. Other than that, you have to include the code and CTA somewhere in every single email and also add in a couple plain text emails. So the founder email should be plain text as well as a couple others. I always recommend testing out the formats and seeing what works, whether that's a plain text send or a design send. The seventh reason why your emails are underperforming is that your abandonment flows are just reminders. So if all your flows are doing is saying, we miss you, or we saw you checking us out, or forgetting something, then they're not going to work. There are a few customers that just need a reminder to convert. Maybe they got distracted, so you get those conversions. But the majority of cart abandoners did not abandon because they forgot. They abandoned because they have some sort of objection. So usually that's some variation of price or them not trusting you. So the easiest way to handle that is by explaining why your product is worth it. So why are you using the better ingredients that you're using? Why is a product more expensive? Or what financing options do you offer, especially for high ticket? Another thing that you have to do is build trust. Every single person has been scammed online. So you have to build trust and explain why they can trust you specifically. Something like doctor testimonials or front row and D works super well if you're selling some sort of health product or a supplement. A couple other great options are talking about your guarantee, something like a 90-day no questions asked money day guarantee that applies even if the product is used or the box is opened, can be a great way to build trust. Just anything that builds trust, handles objections, and convinces the customer why they should buy from you is going to massively improve these flows. So don't just have some sort of super basic reminder that's not going to cut it. Another thing that you could do in these flows is add some sort of real urgency. If your products are going to sell out, or if they're low in stock, or if it's a seasonal product that makes sense now while there is seasonality, make sure to include that in your emails. While the main focus should always be objection handling, these types of urgency plays can really help conversions. The eighth issue with a lot of brands that might cause your emails to underperform is that you're just not sending enough emails. So almost every single brand I audit is sending just a handful of emails every single month. But if you're only sending 3 or 4 emails a month, you're just going to get ignored. The average person gets over 100 emails every single day. So if you're only sending once or twice a week or even 3 times a week, you're going to get ignored. If you're one of hundreds of emails they get every single week, you might be getting ignored. People might not even see you in the inbox. So the solution here is very simple. Send more emails. For our clients, we're sending at minimum 4 to 5 emails a week, and in some cases we're pushing past even daily emails. And on big holidays like Black Friday or Cyber Monday, or during launches, we're sending 3, 4, or even 5 emails a day. And the reason why this is so important is because inboxes are crowded, people are distracted, they're getting texts all the time, they're going to get notification. So if you want to be seen, you just have to show up much more than every single one of your competitors. And even if you're sending more emails, you don't have to worry about deliverability. You don't have to worry about being annoying. The easy solution to this is just by sending high quality content. If every single email is basic and generic, then yes, you're going to burn out your list. But if you're sending high quality value emails that people want to open with the good content that actually helps them in life, then people are going to open the emails. So focus on real education about the products they're dealing with. Focus on real stories that resonate with the customer. Focus on real benefits of your product that other competitors just don't have. And just overall, write good emails that people actually want to open and they're going to open just by seeing your sender name. They're going to be excited to open. You're going to have great deliverability and you're going to have more conversions and they're not going to burn out your list by sending more volume. The ninth reason why your emails might be underperforming is that your account is just too complicated. Once in a while, Audited, a brand that has 40 or 50 active flows, each one of those has multiple flow splits. There's over 100 unique segments in the account. The problem with this is you're introducing so much complexity into the account that things just break, nothing is working properly, and it's hard to even get anything done. So the solution here is just to simplify. Have 4 or 5 core segments that you send your emails to. Have your 10 or 20 base flows set up. Maybe once in a while add a split there if it's relevant. For example, a buyers versus non-buyer split within your abandonment flows. But beyond that, don't go overboard. Keep your account simple and just focus on executing the basics at a very high level. Make sure that you have your base flow set up. Make sure that you're sending 5 to 7 campaigns every single week. Make sure that you're running high quality A/B tests. Make sure that your pop-up is converting at least 8% of site visitors. Focus on the highest levers. That's where 80% of your results ultimately come from. And on top of that, if you want to add in some flow splits, add in some segmentation, add in some advanced strategy, that could be good to have, but don't go overboard. Make sure you have the high levers fully optimized. The 10th reason why your emails aren't doing that well is you're just not testing the right things. So most brands have some flows that they set up years ago and they haven't tested them since, or they're running campaigns somewhat frequently maybe, but they're not testing within those campaigns. And what you need to do to fully optimize your flows and optimize your emails as a whole is by running frequent A/B tests. And you need to test the right things. You need to be testing the high levers in your account. Do not be running basic subject line tests just so you could tell yourself you tested a subject line. Do not test button colors. Test the high levers. Test offers, test angles, test objection handles, and take big swings. You do not need to be making tiny incremental tests. What you need to do is test out 5 or 10 totally different variations of an email, 5 or 10 different objection handles, 5 or 10 different offers. Just make big swings and test totally different things. And once in a while, you'll see something that performs 50% better than your control. And all of those things added up are going to massively improve your email performance. Now, once you've tested a lot of big swings, from there, you could layer on some smaller, more incremental testing just to add on those optimizations. But the vast majority of your testing, especially in the early days, has to be big swings. And another important thing is to track the right metrics. Focus primarily on place orders. Don't worry too much about opens or clicks or any other metrics. Focus on place orders, and specifically for offer testing, also focus on LTV and all your other site-wide metrics. So now you know the 10 biggest reasons why your emails aren't converting. From weak offers and generic angles, to broken flows, low send volume, excessive segmentation, and meaningless tests. While understanding these problems and actually fixing them across every single flow, campaign, segment, the entire customer journey is exactly what separates brands that scale from the ones who don't. That's exactly what we do at Abandonment Marketing. We build and manage the entire backend system for established D2C brands, including Klaviyo, SMS, direct mail, and subscription strategies. So if you're running a brand and you're doing at least $50,000 a month, click the first link in the description to book a call directly with me to see if we're a fit. And for a step-by-step breakdown of exactly how I use Claude to create high converting e-commerce emails, click the video on screen right now.